So it is good to see all of you guys for our March Lunch and Learn. Can't believe it's already March. This year has gone by so fast. So you guys are familiar with our team by this point. This is me, Kara. We have Gail, Katie, Amber Maxwell, and Amber Wade. If you guys need to contact any of us at any time, feel free to reach out. We're happy to answer any questions you might have. So today we're going to be doing our typical welcome and our updates, and then we have a really exciting presentation about adaptive gaming. Then we'll do our networking, kind of digest what we talked about a little bit earlier in the session. We'll move to our new and noteworthy, and then we'll go to our solution room and start to wrap it up for the day. So again, welcome. Let's start on our updates from our big groups. So let's start with Carolyn and AltShift.
Fabulous. Hi, guys. I'm throwing two different flyers into the chat. The first one just has to do with the building blocks to autonomous communication modules. I know I mentioned those last time we had a meeting, but now we have facilitator guides. So if you are looking to host a small group or to start a conversation and you're not really exactly sure where to start, or maybe you haven't facilitated a group quite yet, there's a script, there are activities. It gives you a run through of what items you might need for that session, including all the handouts. So those are up for all 12 of the modules. The only caveat is if you want to get sketches, you either have to go and have everyone log through and go through each slide in order to put the time in to earn the sketch. But if you're not as into getting the official sketch and you can just mark it down at the end of the year as, yes, I took this professional learning opportunity, then you won't have to worry about that. You can just have people sign in and then document it on their own forms that are held within the district or within the ISD. So really excited about those. I think that's going to be probably the last official update you get about the modules. I know I've been a broken record about those, but Sarah and I have been really excited about all of them from start to finish. It's been a year-long project and they're up and out, and we will be updating. I guess there is one more update. We will be updating them as we go along. So we are just launching the joint prompting statement this month in the next couple days. So that will also be uploaded and linked within block 3 of the building blocks. So before I talk about the summer symposium, which is the other flyer, I'll give you guys a heads up with that joint prompting statement. Through building blocks, we had some conversations talking about when is prompting appropriate, when should we ever be using physical prompting for our students who are AAC users, which I'm a pretty hard and fast no on that one. But there are different people coming from different avenues and different research. So START and Michigan Alliance for Families and AltShift, we have been working together for the past several months. We held a couple focus groups. We really wanted to make sure that it wasn't just the 3 of us getting together saying, this is best practice, but really looking at what does START say? What does Michigan Alliance for Families need to know when they're talking to families? And then what does AltShift say? So that joint prompting statement, which is 1 page, we got it down to 1 front page, has 6 essential considerations to think about when you're going to be implementing any sort of prompting with any student, not just around communication. So it's the whole gamut. And then we'll be creating over the next couple months an infographic just to make it parent friendly and educator friendly, so they don't have to read all the jargon that comes in that statement, as well as having short snippets of what do we mean by AAC and prompting, what do we mean by developing a prompting plan and making sure the whole team knows. So those are coming up. We're waiting for START to release the official document. They are the ones who are going to launch it. And then I will be sharing in the AT Context listserv once it's officially out and ready to go. So I'm thinking by the end of this week or next week, we are ready. We are ready also to get that one off of our tables as well. The other flyer I shared is the summer symposium. So we are back in Traverse City with AltShift this year, and really looking to dive deep into what are some of the big things that ISDs are experiencing and teams are experiencing right now. So it doesn't have to be an ISD, it could be a local district team, but really looking at the problems, the barriers, the issues that our sites are looking at. And that can be any site, not just one that has an official partnership. But are they simple issues? Is there a straight, clear-cut answer? Are they complicated? So maybe there's a couple moving parts in there, or are they complex? And so one response is going to yield 8 different other impacts. And so do we need to consider the trajectory of everything that we're looking at? It's going to be a really great opportunity to look at these different issues, have opportunities to connect with different teams as well. So what barriers are other teams dealing with, and how are they working through it? Or do they experience the same challenges that we're seeing, and how are they working through that? And kind of just having that idea of, we're one team, but as a state, we're all probably dealing with something pretty similar in some way, shape, or form, but also recognizing that even as you're one team, you're part of this bigger picture, not just, making sure you have the right people at the table. So that information is all on that flyer. There is a cost that's all associated right there. So if you want to share it with administrators, we do ask that you do have an administrator that comes as well, just someone who can either take it back to the larger team or have that ability to start thinking about those big changes and have that different perspective that any of you watching this or here in this meeting right now might have as well. So just making sure we have different perspectives at the table. So if you have questions about that, you can reach out to either me or Sarah Percolosi if she's your contact, or Noelle Plasti, or Kate Finelli if you want to go right to her. I think that's it. I'm excited. It's Traverse City. It's the Hagerty Center. It's right on the water. So if for nothing else, to bring your team, do some wine tasting, all the fun stuff.
Thank you, Carolyn. Those tools are absolutely fantastic. I love the handouts that you can give right to somebody. That is so helpful for people in the field. And the symposium sounds like it's going to be great. So thank you. All right, Michigan Schools in Action. Do we have Nikki here today? Looks like we're not hearing it. Does anybody from that group have anything they'd like to share out who is here? We'll give it 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, to the next one. All right, LIO. Do we have Beth or Pat here today?
I think Beth was going to try and join. They were at CSUN this week. And,
All right.
and Beth said that she was, maybe the time change or something might be biting her a little bit, but.
Gotcha. Well, if she's able to pop in later, we'll hear from her. But for now, we'll keep it moving. All right, Ojai XXI.
Yeah. Our next and last lunch and learn for that group will be on April 27th at 11:30. Again, like the organization itself is kind of like back up and running. We're making updates, we're meeting regularly, and we're working to plan our April 29th, 2024 one-day conference in Traverse City. It's on a Monday, so you can go up to Traverse City for the weekend, have a good time, and then do some PD on Monday. And then I'm assuming it'll end probably around 3 o'clock-ish, so I'll have time for people to drive back to their respective locations. So we are excited. The conference will probably be capped at around 70 or so people, which I think keeps in line with the typical participation amount of conferences in years past. But if you have any ideas for that conference, speakers you'd like to hear, topics you would like covered, send myself or Megan Graham or anybody an email. We'd love all that feedback. So yeah, we're excited to get this conference up and running again. And then next school year, we also will continue doing the lunch and learns like we've done this year. And they'll probably continue to be scheduled on the opposite months of this group because we know there is some overlap with members.
Definitely. It sounds like that group has been doing great things since reuniting this year. So it's always good to hear about it. All right. So I would love to hear from you guys about any new regional updates. We actually have this QR code and we're going to drop a link in the chat. If you guys could fill out this survey on this page real quick, I would really appreciate it. I'm just trying to get a little bit of info about what is going on.
Hey, Kara, can I pop in really quick about this?
Absolutely, please do.
So with regional updates, guys, we have the AT context list that is on, it's hosted on the AltShift website. I've contacted most groups for updates. I know 1A is severely outdated, so I'm working to get updates with them. I know Sarah's been meeting up with some of the UP reps. But if you just check the contact list, if you see that either someone has moved or is no longer in their position or someone new is there, if you could just send that information to me, that would be great. Otherwise, look forward to hearing from me again in September when I ask for updates on that as well. Thanks.
Awesome. This is only a few questions. So if you guys want to take just a moment to fill it out, it's 11:43. I'll give you guys until 11:45. And if you're kind of finishing up, that's all right too. $11:44. We'll do one more minute. All right, 11:45. I know that we all have crazy schedules, so if we have like 2 minutes of downtime to take the survey, I feel like we should take advantage of it while we've got it. All right. If you guys are still filling out the survey, that's all right.
And then I can give an update for Region 2. We've had our second meeting since we've met last. Our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, April 17th. And that begins at 9 a.m. So if that's something that you want to get involved in, we'd love to have you. Our group did grow by a few people this last time, which was exciting to see. Great networking, opportunity for some professional development and just collaborating with others.
Awesome. And I can give one for Region 3. So we have our last meeting coming up on May 1st. For Region 3, there should be a survey that's going out likely today on if people are interested in making that an in-person meeting or if we want to do a virtual meeting like we've been doing in the past. And we would love to see you guys. If you have any questions about that, you can reach out to myself or Gail. Any other regions have anything exciting going on? All right, well, if anything comes up, you can let us know. All right, so today we have a cool presentation on adaptive gaming coming from Dale. So I will let him take it from here.
Everybody, good to see everybody. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Excellent, great. My computer the other day was giving me a difficult time. It was muting as I turned on the presentation. So I have two computers going on and I'll present from the other one and I'll just talk into the one I'm talking to right now. So I'll go ahead and I'll grab the screen here. Oh, and it says I cannot share screen while other participant is sharing.
You want to try that again?
Yep, I got it. There we go.
Perfect. I just want to say thanks for being here. I had the opportunity to see all the awesome things Dale was doing at our region meeting. And I was like, you have to share this out. He's got lots of great knowledge in this area. So I'm excited that you're
Mm.
able to reach a larger group with this.
I'm very excited, and I know I'll be coming up later on this month and bringing up a whole bunch of stuff, and looking forward to that as well. So anyways, earlier this year, earlier in the school year, one of the PTs that I get to work with came up to me, and she showed me the adaptive game controller. And she sort of wondered if I knew what to do with it. And at that point, I had no idea. Like I, kind of heard about it, hadn't dealt with it. And so what I did is I started researching it. And this happened to be one of the first videos that I came across on what you can do with the adaptive game controller. So this is now a few years old, probably 2 or 3 years old. This isn't one of our students, but I just absolutely thought it was amazing what this dad had done with his son with the adaptive game controller. So here's this little guy. I'll go ahead and play some of this video and hopefully don't skip through it too much.
So here's Francisco, FNJ Gamers. We are playing on the PlayStation 4. Mortal Kombat 11. On the, oh yeah, you're right, XL. Sorry, XL. On the PlayStation 4. But we're playing with an Xbox controller, adaptive controller. But we need switches, of course, adaptive gaming by Logitech. And then we needed to make work on the PlayStation 4, so we needed to get this super converter. And then we also bought an adaptive joystick for him to move the characters a little bit better from Xbox. So something neat and great is this setup right here. It works perfect for the Xbox or for what we need. And here's this crazy setup that we made up for him. Here's the main hub, the Xbox adaptive controller. This craziness of wiring that goes off.
And when you look at that, you see all the different wires that he has coming out. And this is really one of the best jobs that I've seen with management. Like I wish my cord management could look this good. So this dad's really set it up. And when you keep on going, you get to see what his little guy can do. It's amazing to watch. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, wow, this is like, I've found my passion. Like I've found what I love to do in life now. So I'll go ahead and continue, and you'll get to see this little guy playing his game.
Through these special switches. But he has limited mobility. His strongest hand is his left hand, which has the joystick, and he has the majority of the buttons there, different functions that he can work with. And he's managed to do well. He can move his right hand, but pretty much just back and forth. Yeah, perfect. And we also we had a switch that we had extra, and he uses it on his head. He uses that quite a lot.
And here, when I started watching this, I was like, oh my gosh, look at all these cool things you could do. Like you have the arm assisted support going on there. You have the switch on the head and all these different way cool things that you can do with this adaptive controller. And thinking about how you can put all that together is absolutely amazing. So of course I, instantly start talking to, the OTs that I work with. It's like, how can we do this sling thing, and get all those different pieces running? Because of course, definitely want to make sure I'm not doing anything wrong, making sure I'm not going to, hurt the student or anything like that. And to me, this was like just really an amazing revelation of really what you can do with that piece with these students. So I kind of went on further with the Xbox adaptive controller. At some point, I also got a Hori Flex, which you can use with the Nintendo Switch, which is for the Nintendo Switch. Between the two, if I were to want to buy one, I got two Xbox adaptive controllers. I have one Hori Flex going. I would actually recommend buying the Xbox adaptive controller. And there's a couple reasons why, and I'll kind of go into those into a minute. The big one is it's actually quite a bit less expensive, like more than $100 expensive. The HoriFlex is more than $100 more expensive than the Xbox adaptive controller. And the Xbox adaptive controller with a simple little adapter, you can actually use it on the Nintendo Switch. So it's like a $20 little adapter. It's called a Mayflower, and I'll point that out in a little bit. But that's kind of why I would kind of go with the Xbox adaptive controller, just because it's flexible. It also has a couple of 3.5 millimeter ports that you can hook in analog joysticks in. That the HoriFlex doesn't have. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility with the joysticks that you're going to use as well. So that, of course, is my goal. Now, have I had the potential? Have I had the opportunity to make one that involved? No, not yet. But I hope so one of these days. But the kids that I work with, they're loving the games. They're enjoying the games. And we're doing just all those pieces, and they're doing great. So I'll go ahead and let me move ahead here.
So here's Francisco.
So here's a couple of the students that I work with. Here's Derek. You can see his trophy. He just won at Mario Kart on this day, and he loves playing Mario Kart, so he does. We do that quite a bit. Paige, we use Paige as a co-pilot for him. So she comes down, and she actually works on a couple of the buttons that Derek can't do, but he steers around that track really well. He has potentially one switch location that we're working on getting him going, but Paige will keep fleeing the items when he hits those question marks and kind of help him if he gets turned around a little bit. And it works out well, and that's part of the goal that we have with our students, is some of that community and sort of peer interaction with each other. So these two make a great team, and see them a couple days out of the week. They come in, and Derek gets to do some of the things that he's never had to do. The way that I work with Derek, and this actually changes all the time, is I have a couple of different pieces on here that I 3D printed. These switches are now bigger. And these, he tends to do better if I just have the two on the side array going. But what I'm making right now actually are touch capacitive cloth switches. And I'm going to have them battery operated. And so basically, it's like they'll just touch it and the switch will fire off. And I actually just got my electronics down to where things aren't overheating. And so I've had it, I need a 5-volt, it was a 9-volt. And when I was converting my voltage down, I wasn't happy with how hot it was getting. So it seemed to be fine, but I didn't like it. So now I actually have it. So there's no overheating issues and getting ready to put them together, but it does have this capacitive cloth on it. And that way he's not going to hurt himself on those switches. It's just going to be nice and soft. And I can also use that strategy with that capacitive cloth with some of the other children that I work with, especially one of the kids that I do some device access with. He has a sort of a real heavy wind up when he activates the switch, real heavy the switch piece. And so I'm going to have him actually do that, so he doesn't get all those big clicks and everything like that. So this is sort of the setup that we use. The little plastic pieces, 3D printed those, and then actually what I did, and our OTs will know about this, I actually thermal formed those around. Those were just flat out, and then I reheated them up again and bend them around, and then that way I can kind of clamp them onto the head array. So that part goes directly into the Xbox adaptive controller. When you start looking around to other places, you start seeing some really great sites for it. Special Effect is fantastic. Not only do they have all sorts of game guides and help with settings and different pieces like that, they also have some games that you can play online, especially with eye gaze. And then they also have a special kind of adaptation for Minecraft for eye gaze as well. And that's all on this site, Special Effect. And this is a British charity. And so we have like these eye gaze games, iMine, and then just accessibility information. And they're real friendly to talk to. They're real friendly to deal with. You know, they'll help give you advice. And here you can kind of see in the background on the picture. Oops, just a moment here. Let me go back to my presentation. Sorry. No, you're still in the presentation. Oh, it didn't flip over. My bad. You didn't flip over on Special Effect. I was showing you the Special Effects site. My bad. Sorry about that. Let's see. So on this particular screen, you can see actually I'm playing Minecraft. On here, I have a couple of switch modifiers on here. So one of the students that I work with, he has a hard time moving off of the switch in time. So if you have him walking through a Minecraft world, he starts looking around, then what he'll do is he'll just start spinning around. He gets kind of caught just spinning around if he's not sure what to do. So what happens is I'll take these switch modifiers and I'll set a little timer on them. So when he presses the switch, it doesn't matter if he hangs on the switch for 5-10 seconds, or if he just taps it, his head moves around just a little bit. And that way he doesn't get caught up in, just sort of spinning in Minecraft. But that's, some of those little more advanced things that you can do. And I kind of got that idea from this group, Special Effect right here. Another group that is very good is Warfighters Engaged. This is an American-based charity. This one deals primarily with veterans who are wounded, and they have a really nice store that you can go in and buy all sorts of really good gaming components, whether it's switches, joysticks, and they all are pretty much compatible with the Xbox adaptive controller. And they're also, many of them are compatible with the Hori Flex as well. So not super expensive, but it extends out what you can do with those gaming pieces. A couple of other really good ones. We have Able Gamers and Can I Play That? Can I Play That is really kind of nice. Gives a really good guide based on different disabilities. So like if it has really good settings for people with a hearing disability, then they'll tell you if this game is good in that particular way. So I'll move ahead here. So when we start out and we start looking at some of the gaming pieces, like I focus mainly on students like Derek, students who are going to have a cognitive disability and then also a physical disability. When we start out looking at our students, we do kind of look at them through a set framework, kind of with that gaming focus. The first thing we always look at, though, the first thing we ask ourselves is, what does the student have seizures? Like that's the first thing you always have to ask is, whether or not this student is going to be good for this particular game. If it's fast paced with a bunch of bright lights in there, and they have seizures, you really don't want to do that. So, we go in, look at the student, see where he's at, what the challenges are going to do, what he wants to play, he or she wants to play. We ask all those type of questions. Then the environment, usually it's going to be down in the PTOT room, although I do also go out into the classroom with them. The tasks, that's where it starts getting fun, because when you're looking at a game, some of the games are really easy to adapt. Mario Kart, super easy. You have like basically left and right, then you have a couple buttons that you really need to be able to push. But there are certain settings in there that can make all that easier. So that's pretty easy. But if you have a student who wants to play, Minecraft typically involves a whole bunch of different settings, a bunch of different switches that you need to activate. So at that point, depending on where the student is, you might need to ask yourself, is it better if we bring in a co-pilot to do some of those different pieces? And that's where we brought in Paige for Derek. And then of course, tools, you're talking switches, you're talking the Xbox Adaptive Controller, Hori Flex, all those different pieces. Or if you're doing some gaming on the iPad, which we also do, you're kind of finding some of those different pieces as well. So this is kind of how we frame it. It's not really a super formal process, but these are the considerations that we take into account, and especially that seizure piece. Really want to know if your kiddo is going to have seizures. So let's see. Now from here, we kind of go on to the switch sites and types. The person that I've learned like the most from as I was researching this is kind of Michelle Lang. She's a OT, she's part of RESNA. She does a lot with the ATP program with RESNA. She also has a bunch of different courses on occupationaltherapy.com, which I have an account to. So I watch her videos on switches and switch locations. So I do a lot of that. And then also she is on like AbleU, and she has her own YouTube channel as well. And so she is really, really great with just basically switch access. So she has like an entire protocol for evaluating switches. She doesn't put it necessarily in the gaming framework, but that's really where I started using it. So, she starts talking about the different switches that you use with your fingers, with your hands, whether or not it's going to be a mechanical or a electronic, like a capacitive switch that's just really like touch. What are the different movements that the students has with their hands, kind of moves up their arms. Then in our protocol, you start looking at the different options with the head, if it's head movement, if they're going to use their mouth, if there's going to be any sort of like cheek, you can use actually use your cheeks to activate switches, and she kind of walks you through a nice little protocol with these different switch activations. And then she does the same type of deal with the types of switches. So she'll go through and she'll list, all the different kinds of switches, where to get them from, those type of things. And then, does the same thing with the electric switches, the ones that, deal with infrared light, and if they're going to be a capacitive switch or anything like that. So I've learned just so much just going through her courses for occupational therapy.com. Let's see if that will go back for me. Just a moment. So yeah, I've learned just a ton from what she's put out there. And then AbleU, those videos are free. There's not a subscription cost to it. And she has a lot of videos on AbleU for that switch location and switch piece as well. So for me, how many minutes do we have left? Am I almost done, or because I can go on forever, but I'm not sure.
We have a little bit more time. If you have more to finish up, I'd love to hear it.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much time I had. So
we'll make it work. Don't worry.
Okay. So we have the Michelle Lang, very, very excellent resource when you're thinking about your switches, when you're thinking about your switch protocol. And again, her stuff, she's mainly geared it towards communication devices, regular access, computer access. But all of that is fantastic for gaming. And what gaming is really good at is actually, it really is a great motivator to find those, little switch accesses, that are on your elbow or, on your knee or whatever, because kids want to play these games by themselves. So, if you can figure out where they have a little bit of movement, they might be able to activate a switch. They have more motivation, then they're like, hey, okay, cool, you can do that. So now, since you can do a joystick and we have a little bit of foot activation, I can have you do that drag and drop with the joystick, because you can move your foot a little bit. So it's kind of cool, like what you can use the gaming piece, because they seem to be really motivated to play the games. So absolutely love it. It's fun. So let me go ahead. I'll move over here. So the other thing that I've done quite a bit with is gaming on iOS and just device access with iOS. So this student here, she's 18 years old. And as you can see here, she's on YouTube. Now, before the beginning of the school year, she had never independently operated a device now. So I have her just on the standard iOS head tracking piece, and she does phenomenally with it. She hasn't been able to do eye gaze or anything like that. She has limited communication. She can do this head tracking phenomenally well. As you can see, I have two switches hooked up, one set up on kind of a vertical plane, have it set up on that kind of little joint on her wrist. If it's up a little bit too high or if it's down a little bit too high, she won't be able to activate that switch if you set it up just right. She has enough movement that's consistent. She can activate the switch. The other one is a proximity switch. You can see I have her resting on a little turtle there. So she absolutely loves the turtle. And that's a little proximity switch. So we have that going. But with this, the way she does things is it tracks her face. And we have two different switches that we activate with her face for an eye blink that brings up the menu. So she can actually bring up the iOS menu, and it does an auto scan. And then she uses the yellow switch down here for a selection. That'll do things like take her home to the home page. But what she also uses is this is her tongue. And what that activates is sort of like the drag and drop feature. So with this, she's able to scroll through YouTube. She's able to activate all the different components on YouTube. She's able to scroll up and down on the sidebar. And then in other programs, she's able to draw, which she's never been able to do at all. She's also able to go onto GarageBand, and we do things like Beat Synth with her on GarageBand. I also have her there's a app for these little drones. So we have her flying drones with this head tracking. It's amazing. She's never done this before this fall, any of this. So she loves it. And she can whip through YouTube, and she absolutely loves it. So she has some communication, so starting to work more with communication. But the problem is we wanted to try and do eye gaze. She's never been successful at eye gaze. And we think it's just because with her eyes, she just doesn't really have her eyes are mostly shut. So we don't think that eye gaze was able to ever track her corneas at all. Because when we try eye gaze, it just doesn't seem to work. And I kind of like paying attention, like looking at her when trying to do it. I think it's just when she's trying to concentrate, she doesn't realize it, and her eyes just kind of narrow down. So that's kind of what I'm going with, because we get perfect positions on it and all that type of stuff. So when you're doing head tracking, there are a whole range of potential facial gestures that you can activate. We can only use the two on her. Just she can't raise her eyebrow, she can't raise her cheek, she can't do all these things. But we use what she has, and now she's fully independent, and she absolutely loves coming in and doing these different pieces. So there's a few other things in here, like I haven't had the opportunity to do voice control with a student yet. Hoping to get to do that one of these days, because that's really looks like a fantastic technology. And then of course you also have like the switch recipes, which are just sort of always real fun to do. So let's see. Wrap up in 5 minutes, definitely. So I'll go ahead. For me, I'll go ahead and if you guys have any questions, let me know, and I hope that's good. But if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you can do.
Hey, Dale, it's Gail.
Yeah.
I worked with, it was quite a few years ago, and I can't remember his name, but he adapted different games for blind students. And so he did more vibrations for
Yep,
the
haptic
controllers.
pieces.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was awesome. So I didn't know if you have
I-
ventured into that.
No, I haven't. I haven't had the opportunity to do any of working with individuals who are blind. So I haven't. No, I haven't. So that is something that I really need to move into. I do have a couple of students that I could work with here in that, and I've primarily focused on students like Amanda are here.
Right.
So, yeah.
He used the Wii controllers.
Okay.
And then, if you picture the typical app where you have to jump over things and you have to duck or you have to go faster or slower or whatever. And so the Wii controllers would vibrate for you to, and the one that vibrated, then you needed to lift up so that you
That's awesome.
jump. And yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, I would I need to branch out with that. You just kind of, it's weird because you start like making your own switches and you start like, and then it's like, oh yeah, that's right. I got to move in this other way. So
This is awesome though. Really awesome. Have you tapped into any partners like with colleges or OT programs?
Actually, we just tapped in with Kettering here. We're going to be working on some senior programs. Some of their senior kids, Kettering used to be GMI. So they have a really good engineering program. So we actually just a couple weeks ago, we had their professors come in and we're developing some senior projects for them. I am going up to Katie's neck of the woods in a couple of weeks. And we're going to be doing, I'll take my gaming pieces up there and, have people playing with the settings inside of like the, inside of the Xbox controller and all that type of stuff. So, and I'll bring up the different switches, show you how you can, combine switches. Like let's, just randomly, when you look at an iPad, you can actually hook up multiple switch interfaces to it. You can have like 8. You can actually hook up more than one to it, so that like increases your switch potential with that. So I did see a couple questions come in here. So let's see. We sold it as leisure. Okay. Yep. Yeah, we did. We had that strong leisure component. We also a couple students that we work it with don't have too much opportunity outside of school to operate their head control. So we also said, we also try to mimic how they're going to do things like operate their power wheelchair with some of the things that we do in gaming. We also work on it with device access, like, we try to really tie that into device access as well. So those are a couple ways that we do it. But yeah, again, it is leisure. A lot is leisure and peer interaction. Yesterday, for the first time, one of the kids that we work with, the PT that I work with, she actually was having the student, work on posture while he was gaming with me. So she had him, on a therapeutic bench, making sure he had his posture as opposed to just being in his wheelchair. So she was, having him do that, and that worked out really well. Another thing that we've done too is doing quite a bit now with Alexa as well, and the Hey Google. And it's funny because I have some kids that can't quite do Alexa, but they can do Hey Google real well. But I have this one student who just loves setting off Alexa, and she's nonverbal. So I actually have a whole bunch of different phrases set up on her AAC app, and she can go through and she can type in the jokes and do all those things. And she loves it. Like, she's usually a little bit, she can be a little bit aggressive and things like that, but we get her onto Alexa and she like enjoys the entire PT session that she does. So it's awesome.
Here's a couple of questions still in the chat.
Okay.
So Emily was wondering about the options for unweighting the arm to facilitate reaching, like kind of like the slings that were shown in the video.
Yeah.
Have you
So,
found some
Sarah,
options for that?
That's so basically for us, we're just kind of home brewing that. And we just have the one girl that we're doing that. We're really just home brewing it. We're coming in have a little bracket coming off of her headrest, a couple of spare mounting points on her headrest, come straight up and out that way. You know,
We're losing your voice, or at least I lost him.
yeah, so
Oh, there we
there's
go.
like so many cool. Let's see if I can go back. So if you look, you can see that, you know, he just has. Let's see if I can make that bigger. No, it's not making. If you look at it, you can see that he's just, you know, he just has basic foam wrapped up in there. You know, he has a support back and under his kind of his armpit, good support under his wrist, and then these actually move up right to a single point up here. You know, and so definitely, like when I looked at that, it's like, oh, I definitely need an OT, you know, to kind of help me with that, make sure we're not, you know, we're not doing anything bad with that. So for that student that we're using head tracking for, we're trying to get up a good system because she actually wants to use a joystick for like Mario Kart, and so I'm trying to get her so she can do that with her arm with that sling piece, you know. And then like if you go to that site, the special effects site, and you look through some of their things, they also have some really good simple ideas for using foam to build up where a switch is, you know, simply, you know, build it up just a little bit to accommodate some of the different movements that the kids like. Whenever I see this, it's like, oh, that's like a really good idea, that I could try that. When you look at this guy's little joystick that he has right here, you can see that he has just like a little piece of PVC sticking over that, and that's how he operates that particular joystick right down there. You know, like there's all sorts of like these really, really cool little ideas that you can go.
Jamie was wondering if you, for the 3D printable switch mounts, did you make them? Did you design them? Did you just print them from?
Those particular ones I did design. Yeah, I designed them flat, and then I've loved thermal form stuff as well. So I thermal formed them over. So I just print them flat, and then when I need to, I'll just bend it myself, you know, mold it to the part that I want. Yep. So
I had one quick question. Do you think, this is for Carolyn, but do you think Alt Shift will have some of these in their lending library?
That is a good question, and I'm glad I was listening. I was like, oh, yep, I know the question's coming. Probably not. Michigan AT project is doing some more of the gaming system, so I would reach out to them. That actually Kate Finelli's son actually asked her directly, like, hey, they make these things, like we want my friends to be able to do this too. So I think if there's enough requests, maybe. But at this point we don't have a plan to put them in yet.
and
Yeah, the Michigan AT program has a dedicated person that like that's their full-time job, is like literally adaptive gaming and stuff like that. And they have a landing library, and their group is wonderful for filling in those holes. So yeah.
Great.
so the cool thing about doing the gaming piece is you're like Santa Claus. Like literally the kids see you and they look at you like Santa Claus. They're just ecstatic to see you every single time. So it's like it's really cool. It's like, oh, it's awesome. But so who is part of the that special interest group that John is putting over? Who's doing that? Was that you, Gail?
That
No,
was me,
Kara.
Kara.
Kara. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, and hopefully that gets funded. Because I need to like re-involve myself. You just get busy. You just get like swamped, and before you know it,
Yeah,
you're
absolutely.
back.
I think it'd be great to be able to include students with different abilities in esports. It seems like such an opportunity for students to be able to participate in typical school activities.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I've done just a little bit of droning with one student, and that's actually the video that I wanted to get. And I had to switch locations like right as soon as I turned off the screen. The person who actually had the spot I was in came in. It's like, oh, but yeah. So I've done some like minor droning with a couple of the kids. They love it. It's fantastic. So
I think the hardest part is explaining gaming to people who don't game.
Yeah, yep, exactly. And that's funny. So that was my problem is I'm not, I used to game in my 20s, but I'm like, going to be 53 here. And I haven't really gamed all that much. Like, I've watched my daughters do it. I did Minecraft, the redstoning. That's about what I like doing. So like all this other stuff, I was way out on the loop. So for me, it's kind of, I go through and now I start understanding the settings and, understanding how I can manipulate the settings and it takes, yeah. And that's right. Mario Kart absolutely rocks. It's a great place and it's super, super easy to, there's really good features in there to help that kiddo be successful. That can keep you right in the, on track so you don't fly off the track. And, there's an auto, speed button, press that down and you go forward so they can do that. It's really, yeah, auto steering and auto accelerate. Exactly. You can tell I don't remember any of that. So, well,
Thank you again, Dale. We appreciate you being here.
Yeah, I hope that was okay.
That was awesome.
Wonderful. Way more than okay.
So it's fun. Like every day you get to come in and do that. It's an awesome day. You just like all the kids just look forward to it. That you do that with. So it's neat. So
Love it. Awesome. All right. Dale, if anybody has questions for you, would they be able to reach out to you through email?
Oh yeah, definitely. Here, I'll put it up in the chat here to everyone.
And then Dale, when you have a chance, I'm going to have you just stop share your screen.
Okay, will do.
Thank you so much.
Let's see, stop share.
Awesome. So we're running a little short on time here, so I'm not sure that we're going to get to our networking questions for the day. But it was worth it for our Q&A. I feel like we got to answer a lot of the questions that we would have had in our groups anyway. Remember to add to the Padlet. If you guys have anything new and noteworthy, scan the QR, or Amber just put the link right in the chat. Be sure to check out the Padlet for any past activities as well. We've got a minute or so for our solution room. Does anybody have any pressing questions that they would like to ask before we head out for the day? We'll give it a 3. Yeah.
I'm in. Does anybody have any specific resources they're using when a school is choosing a new curriculum, like a new ELA in particular, but also, math, about the accessibility of the different curriculum choices? Is anybody giving specific guidance or have somewhere they go, or curriculums they know to be particularly accessible with, built-in supports?
I don't know any offhand. If somebody else has any resources on that, Sarah, could you drop your email in the chat so they could reach out to you?
Sure. Well, I just saw something from McGraw-Hill that they've taken on making their curriculums accessible from here forward, for what it's worth, FYI.
That's good to know.
With all the silence, I'm guessing we don't have a resource, and I was wondering if you'd have to reach out to the specific manufacturer and ask them what, if they have any information directly around that. It's a really good question, Sarah.
I was going to say really quickly, Heather Weaver and I in Plymouth Canton had been on the teams that evaluated curriculum, and we used we had kind of a form that we filled out around accessibility. I don't work in Plymouth Canton anymore, so I probably can't get it, but Heather might be able to track down what we used. We could share that.
I do, but it was nothing official. It was just something.
Yeah, it was just what we were using.
Yeah.
But it just helped us kind of you know, wrap our heads around while we were in those meetings around, you know, whether things were accessible. And I mean,
Okay.
we could probably, if her and I talked for a minute, we could probably think about which curriculum we found to be accessible. I just can't picture it at the moment.
Yeah, I can share that with you, Sarah. I can share that with you.
That would be great. I did pop my email in the chat. If you see it, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
In Muskegon, we've not specifically around that type of curriculum, but we've been working with our instructional services department to get accessibility AEM considered when during our curriculum adoption process. So they have a process that's available to schools that they will help them walk through when adopting new curricula of any sort. So it's not specific to that, but but it does now include consideration of AEM. In fact, we're just speaking with our special ed supervisors this morning. Jim and I built a Google site. I'll link it in the chat there too. So just walks them through those different stages of considering AEM, and then it gives some on like acquiring materials. One of the steps on there, the first step we recommend is contact your publisher, and there's a sample letter in there that districts can download and use to request accessible materials, those materials in an accessible format, and it kind of just helps walks districts with that process. And then we do have that option for local conversion as well. But so anyways, if anything on there is helpful, and feel free to reach out to either Jim or myself with any questions if you're poking around that website too.
That's great. Thank you, Corinne.
Really encouraging that they're taking accessibility into account these days. Yeah. All right. Time to wrap up for the day. This has been an awesome session. Thank you again, Dale, for presenting. Thank you to all of our groups for our updates. Upcoming PDs include McCall, which is starting tomorrow. We have an AT play date on May 8th, and AAC in the Cloud is June 20th and 21st. I love AAC in the Cloud. Every year I take a look at all of their great presentations.
And then, as Amber put together, just for those of you that have responded to the email thread, we have several people that are presenting at McCall around accessibility. This is not limited to just these couple, but these were some of the sessions that were talked about in that email thread on the AT listserv.
Yeah, and then tomorrow there is a paid workshop based on AT that there's like some folks from around the state collaborating on. So
love to see the AT presence growing at McCall.
Yes.
Great. So that is all that we have for the day. Look at that, ending right on time. Go team. Oh, sorry for that loud mic noise. All right. Looking forward to the rest of the year. Thank you guys for coming. Again, feel free to reach out to any of us if you have any questions, comments, and/or concerns. And have a good rest of your day.
And a good rest of your year. This is our last meeting of the year.
Last meeting of the year. We made it. Almost.